Great.
Right, so can you give me a brief introduction as to what Olive Safety do and where they operate?
Well, Olive Safety are, it's actually Olive Group, so they have a number of, shall we say, arms in different industries. Their primary role is health and safety, and that involves from health and safety consultancy to training, and then they have another arm of, they call it EduFit, which they have a gym in place, and they're doing training outside that, and it's all involved around training and consultancy.
Okay. Do you do audits and that kind of stuff?
Well, my primary role would be audits and risk assessments, method statements, safe systems of work, anything that involves health and safety in all different industries.
Do you operate in Dublin or outside Dublin?
Yeah, primarily we would operate in Dublin, but yes, we're nationwide as well. We have offices in the UK, in Australia, Kathmandu, in America, and India as well.
Big stuff.
So we've a number of ways to target different markets.
Yeah. I suppose my thesis is kind of solely based on kind of the warehouse function.
Warehouse, okay.
So, my first objective is to kind of gain an insight into whether employees understand the implications of a safety environment. So, a question I'm going to ask is: do you think employees, when you visit sites or give training, do you think they're aware of the importance of safety, or is it just like a box ticked?
Yeah. Well, more often than not, I come across when I do an audit.
Yeah.
It's health and safety comes from management.
Yeah.
And often the management aren't aware of health and safety, so that's a knock-on effect for the employees. Then they're not aware themselves, and it's my job really to make them aware and make them aware of their obligations and duties as employers. But more often than not, employees are not aware of their own obligations what their employer should be
so I suppose
putting in place.
A lot of these questions now could be repetitive, but do you think employees respect regulations that are in place?
I wouldn't say they don't respect them. Going back to your previous question, they're not aware. They're not properly aware of the actual legislation, or safety statement is basically a management system, and it's down to the employer to make the employees aware of their obligations.
Yeah. And how do you find, like, across different industries, because I only worked in ESB, safety is high in their priority, right?
Yeah.
But how do you find, like, the respect towards safety varies from different environments? Where do you see it lacking? Where do you see it prominent?
Yeah, well, more prominent is obviously high risk areas, which would be surrounding electricity is high risk.
Yeah.
Work at height, huge risk. So more often than not, employees are aware because they have to make themselves aware. I mean, already there's been 2 or 3 people killed from working at height this year.
Yeah.
And obviously, yourself, the farming industry is already been deaths as well. So, in terms of the risk, I think the higher the risk, the more involved the employees are with the work process, and what they should have and not have, and aware of their rights and responsibilities.
Has the training changed much in the last 10 years? Or
training has changed. I mean, we ourselves at Olive are we're pretty much the market leader in training, because we have we've put in place an online platform, an accredited online platform for the likes of manual handling.
Okay.
Which is it's an online license that you'd buy, and obviously you'd have to do the practical end of it, which is the lifting, pushing, pulling, carrying, which one of our representatives would go out and do it. But in terms of taking the employee out of the working environment for a day just doesn't suit anymore. So we've transferred that to an online. So training is evolving all the time, and I think it's becoming.
How do you become more regular and it's probably more like
Yeah,
small doses more regular than one big training day.
exactly. Yeah. And it's employees aren't lost out of work for a day to, do a manual handling or an occupational first aid. Well, occupational first aid now that's practical, so that would have to be
day out.
Yeah.
Seeing what contributes to like a safety culture or a safety management system. What do you think are the main factors that contribute to safety culture besides obviously training?
The main factors that I find are employers and directors becoming aware of their responsibilities. If they're aware, it filters all the way down. It filters down to the productivity of the employee. It filters down to the safety of health and welfare of employees, contractors, visitors, and it also reflects on the actual product that they're producing. And that's where the ISO accreditation comes in for a lot of bigger companies if you put out for tender, they're looking for these systems to be in place, like the environmental 14,001 and obviously the 18,001 management system as well. Sorry, what was the other part of that question?
The one here would be like our procedures, regulations, training of, but obviously you'd be of the opinion that it's a management approach. Management approach takes more, precedence than the actual training itself.
Yeah, I mean, in that management system, it basically outlines everything that you should be doing within your company.
Yeah.
I mean, you must form a safety committee. An awful lot of times, companies aren't aware that they should appoint a safety representative to be an impartial voice, obviously appointed by
kind of a communication between
employees, not management, so they can communicate any issues, and obviously there's laws around it to protect them as well. They can't just fire them if they say, well, no, I'm not working under those conditions, but an awful lot of time employees will be scared to do that specifically, like,
it's extra role for, I suppose a lot of people don't get extra initiatives for it either,
Yeah, they don't get anything extra and they're not obliged to do it.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, management must form a safety committee and have bi-monthly meetings and minutes. They must have a notice board put in place, the biggest cause of accidents in the workplace is slips, trips and falls, like 70%. So, housekeeping. These things must be fresh in people's minds every day of the week, every time they go to work. Just like you would need a harness if you were going to work at height.
Fair enough. Near miss cards, are they? Near miss cards. Yeah, I remember when I worked with near miss cards, but it was almost like, do you think they're taken seriously, or is it just like used for brownie points? Is it for the sake of Astro to fill out a near miss card?
Well, it's actually an obligation. It's a legal obligation now. The Health and Safety Authority. There's new guidelines about.
Some companies have put in like incentives to get.
They do. It's part of the key performance indicators and stuff like. I know ESB do that. They have to have 20 catches a year or something each employee. And they might think they're silly things, but they're actually. It's part of the health and safety culture that they're trying to, imprint on the company. And in one way, it's good. They might think they're, trying to catch each other out.
Yeah.
But it's, for the simple thing like going down the stairs, holding the handrail. I mean, people go downstairs and they're tripping on high heels and things like that, or cups of coffee going down the stairs. You have to be aware, because the employer is going to get hit for these things, so that's where the employee has to be aware as well.
And you were saying earlier, I was going to say how regular audits, but you're saying audits coming in more online now than they are days out of the office or days out of the warehouse.
Audits?
Yeah.
Now, an audit now, you would specifically have to go to that site, whether it be a warehouse, a shop, a pub, a hotel. You have to go and review, and safety statements are required to be reviewed annually. It's a dynamic document. It's not. A lot of times people just sign. They don't even sign it. They just have it there and throw it in the corner.
Yeah.
So if a health and safety inspector came in, he's not really looking for your safety statement. He's looking for your risk assessments. He's looking for your record keeping. He's looking for your fire safety. induction training, safety committee meetings. What's the result of them, and what controls have been put in place to control any risk in your workplace.
Super. I suppose another thing I looked at was safety hindering productivity. So do you think employees perceive safety issues in a negative light by holding up productivity, or do you think they actually see the positives out of it?
I mean, a lot of times it is a fine line between productivity and safety, but it should never take precedence over safety.
Okay.
Same as security should never take precedence over safety. But that said, often you would come up against employees saying, okay, well, this work process is allowing me to do things faster, and my employer is happy with that. However, it's not really that safe.
It's in an unsafe manner.
In order for it to be safe, it would require the hierarchy of control, administration controls, engineering controls, and sometimes it's down to the company's resources, and they may not have those resources available to them, and it might even be a case that they would need to employ an extra pair of hands, which is not really feasible sometimes.
Not a private company, yeah.
So in those areas, it's hard to try and control it, but from my perspective, I can only direct them to do it right.
You can't provide the resources for them, like.
You can't do that. No, you can't.
And where would you see examples of an adequate safety culture contributing to productivity?
An adequate safety culture would be
like where I've come across, I suppose, is looking at a machine. If the regular checks are done, that means the downtime is going to be less because a problem.
Yeah,
the time is going to save time.
Yeah, I mean it's all economics as well. I mean, if you're specifically talking about a warehouse, I mean, you may have machinery, plant, or forklifts, anything like that. I mean, a good culture there would be proper segregation of plant and pedestrians, good markings and lighting, good lighting. Everyone being aware of all their responsibilities around that warehouse, safety checklists, housekeeping. I mean, it's a big long list if you went down it, and it's a job in itself. But at the same time, if you're implementing it all the time, it gets easier.
I suppose it's difficult to make people see that safety can. Like, I suppose a lot of people say, if you do these checks every morning, people are saying, same thing, different day.
Yeah.
I suppose it's hard to make people see that it actually does play a part.
It does, absolutely, yeah. It's hard for them to get into that mindset that, doing a walk around check on a forklift truck is for their benefit as well as the company's. And I mean, inspection and maintenance and testing of all this equipment is important as well.
I looked at like shared responsibility versus like top-down management when implementing safety culture. So, which would you be for? Would you be for top-down, or would you prefer it should be?
Okay. I mean,
I suppose
health and safety is all about transparency. So I would put the responsibility across the board.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the directors have ultimate accountability here.
Yeah.
And they delegate, but it's important not to delegate, designate, and disappear. They have to be active. They can't just expect someone else to be on top of it. They must do their own internal audits are as important as external audits. But at the same time, transparency and, like I said, making everyone aware of all the risks and hazards.
I suppose you're responsible for you and others around you, But I suppose if you had a good leader that could implement that, the leader would have less to do, but yet have to be respected,
Exactly.
Have you ever come across a situation where someone clearly has no respect for safety issues, and how would you deal with it?
Well, if I showed you some photographs, that would be yes. That would be there's often blatant. You just can't believe it sometimes.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the people not being informed of codes of practice, whether it's in construction or. Warehousing.
I suppose smaller companies would be more so.
Yeah, smaller
So,
companies that don't have the
they don't
resources
have-
to put in
yeah.
place, controls, and they're just trying to get the job done, whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
But I have come across an awful lot, and but the misdemeanors again would be the likes of emergency exits being blocked and trailing cables, and general housekeeping would be the big ones.
Apart from like consequences to their own safety, is there consequences in place for not having proper things in place? Is there fines or?
Well, I mean that's it. I mean, like I say, the management system in the safety statement, there is disciplinary procedures, and that is down to management to implement that. But more often than not, they don't. So I mean, if someone's throwing stuff around or dragging a phone across or leaving a cable, they must be told about this.
Yeah.
And if they keep going, there should be
Yeah.
disciplinary procedures, and that will make them adhere to it. But in saying that, there must be fair procedures as well. You can't just sack someone straight away. They must go through proper procedures, as in like a verbal warning, written, and things like that.
Last kind of point. I suppose employees' background. I suppose it's coming from different cultures. Whereas obviously, I think in Ireland there's like there's a fair percentage of non-EU nationals. Do you find the cultural differences in the workplace affect progress in maintaining a safety environment?
Hugely. I think it's a big factor here at the moment, and there is legislation in place that any information given to whoever the person is should be in a form, manner, and language that is reasonably likely to be understood, and a lot of times that will come in place as you'd see on construction sites, good proper signage, safety signage, the blue for mandatory and things like that. So an awful lot of the time that people that don't have sort of good English, whatever the company may be, might be at a disadvantage.
But do you think it's just the language barrier, or is there a different understanding?
There definitely would be a different understanding across the dynamic geographical European Union, but they do things differently. But again, that's down to management to inform them of correct procedures, and that's all about communication and all about transparency. So, management have a huge role to play in that.
Makes it a lot harder for them.
Sorry?
Makes it a lot harder for them.
For those employees or the
managers.
Well, it does. Again, it comes down to resources there. Again, it comes down to money. But at the same time, you can put simple things in place to ensure that they employ a competent person. So, a competent person will be someone with enough training, experience, and knowledge, and aware of all the risks and hazards to do their job.
Have you seen much conflicts of interest between employees? Let's say an English-speaking Irish person.
English, not so much. No, I mean,